Johnny,
That's me.
how you doing? This is Pete from Suburban Rebels. This is episode 6 with the legendary Johnny Stingray from the Controllers. So, Johnny, where'd you grow up, and how did you get into singing punk rock and playing guitar and all that?
Well, I grew up in Michigan. Then I moved to California with Kid Spike's sister.
Mm-hmm.
He joined us later. I played guitar since the time I was about 12. But I played basic hippie rock. Only way to put it. And then we were all living together, the three of us, Spike's sister and himself and me. And we were listening to Rodney on the Rocks. And we had the Ramones, which I heard on the radio and immediately went out and bought it. But we didn't know about anything called punk rock until we were listening to Rodney on the Rocks here in Los Angeles. And I think he had The Damned on, and then he was advertising a local punk rock show. Because Spike and I were already jamming. We were playing Velvet Underground songs and Rolling Stones songs in our bedroom.
Okay, cool.
And we went to see our first punk rock show. We saw the Germs, the Weirdos, and the Zeros. And we were just blown away. We immediately just changed gears and said, we're going to be a punk rock band.
Wow, yeah. That would do it.
It was a good first show, when we put it that way. They were all good.
Yeah. Well, how did you get the name Stingray?
Well, that involves an acid trip one night. Spike's sister was out of town. We had some acid, so we split a tab. Actually, ended up with a tab and a half. And we're watching TV, and sometimes things like a character will seem to go from movie to movie to TV show to movie, because you're hallucinating. And I started seeing this thing I called the Stingray popping up in all these science fiction movies. And Spike says, well, you should be Johnny Stingray. So, yeah, Johnny Stingray's cool. We were just riffing on acid. And then we decided to go out to the beach in Santa Monica about dawn. I walked out on the breakwater, and there's seawater everywhere, waves splashing. One single dry spot on the breakwater, there was a clean, dry, cool cigarette, which I picked up and showed Spike and goes, he said, that's proof. That's proof. You're cool.
Nice.
A couple of days later, walking home from school, he found a big railroad spike. So I said, you're Kid Spike.
Oh, nice. That's great. Well, how did the name Controllers, how was that come about? How did it come about?
Well, we were just looking for something that we thought would be topical. And you're probably too young to remember, but in those days, there was a big deal with the air controller strike. That's all I was hearing about, controllers, the controllers, the controllers. Then I was watching another Japanese science fiction movie one night, and they had the controllers in that. And I suggested it, and Spike said, yeah, that's it.
Oh, okay.
So it wasn't a typical kind of punk rock band name, but it kind of stuck.
Right. And you guys, how did you guys form, like come together?
Well, Spike and I were already playing. We were already jamming on songs. I took a stab at writing a couple of songs. My first song was Neutron Bomb. The first one I actually wrote all the way through. And we were at the Whiskey one night. I think we were watching Mink DeVille, and they were terrible. And we were heckling them. We had somebody else heckling them from another table over at the Whiskey. And we got to know him. It was DOA Dan and his buddies. They had traveled down from the Bay Area. So it took about 2 weeks for him to go home, pack up all his shit, come down. He became our bass player. And then Gay was hitchhiking somewhere in Santa Monica. And this hippie gal in the van picked her up, and it ended up being Charlie Trash.
Okay.
She was looking for a gig. She could actually play.
Yeah. And was she actually the first punk rock girl drummer?
No. Before her, we had a girl who really couldn't play, but she was hot. We called her Hillary Dillery. We had started practicing at what was going to become the Masque. We were just looking for a cheap place to practice because we couldn't do it at home anymore. Neighbors were complaining. So we were like paying $2 an hour to practice like all night.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure how we met Hillary. I think she was just hanging around. Oh, no, I do remember. She was standing in line at the Whiskey with us. We were going to see some of the Ramones, I think. And she stuck her entire fist in her mouth. I said, we got to hire her.
Yeah.
Her boyfriend was a session drummer. He played with the Monkees and people like that. So she comes down to our rehearsal spot in this shitty mask with this beautiful pearl drum set. But she couldn't play. It was a joke. We did our very first gig with her. That was it.
Oh, nice. And what were shows like at the Mask?
They were kind of crude and primitive. They used to borrow my PA system that I rented for our practice room. They'd haul it out, put an extra stage that Brendan had built. So you never knew what your sound was going to be like. And the first ones, there's hardly anybody there. Mm-hmm. It kind of built up over the fall of '77. So by the time New Year's Eve came around, the place was packed.
Wow.
It was one of the most fun gigs I was at. I felt like I was playing the Cavern Club in Liverpool or something. It was packed to the ceiling.
Wow. And you guys were the first band to play there, right?
We played the first advertised gig, absolutely. As far as being the first band to ever play there, the Skulls version 1 had a party down there. It wasn't an actual gig. They didn't invite people in, but Brendan got the idea to charge admission one night and asked us, you wanted to borrow my PA, and I kind of short circuited and said, yeah, we'll play. Mm-hmm. So we ended up getting the gig. I forget who else played that night. It seems like somebody else did.
Okay. And how was playing the last show at the Mask before it closed?
Well, it had closed a long time the last time we played there, but it was Brendan still had it. Brendan was still doing something with it. I don't know what he was doing, but this would have been about 96, I guess. Mm-hmm. And Exene had bought the tapes for the Mask benefit show that was held in '78. She bought the tapes and was putting them out. So that was her record release party. And we just kind of weaseled our way into it. And ironically, we ended up setting up and playing our set in the very same room that we had our first practice in. So it was kind of what's the right word? What's the word I'm searching for? It was a circle, coming to a final end, but it was also kind of bittersweet, I guess is the word I'm looking for.
Right.
It was fun to be there, and all the people that we knew, and not all of them, but a lot of the people that we knew from the old Mask days showed up. Scott Guerin was there. People we didn't even know were fans were showing up going, yeah, Controllers.
Nice.
It was a fun gig.
Yeah. Well, what kind of stuff went down at the Mask? I mean, I know there was talk that there was violence, but Brandon said there wasn't really anything like that going down.
No, there really wasn't. Right. It was a party. That's really what it was. Because we still had our rehearsal room, so on nights when there was gigs, which was Friday, Saturday, and Sunday usually, we just go into our room, bring our beer, and go down there and drink, go out and watch bands. When we get done, go back to the dressing room, the rehearsal room. The crowds were kind of strange because there was a lot of kids from the Valley, dressed up in dad's ripped up shirts with some safety pins, and nobody knew. Everybody was kind of getting a handle on it in those days.
Right.
It was a lot of fun. A lot of drinking, a lot of Quaaludes, a lot of Black Beauties.
Yeah.
It was like an all-night party for like 3 days on weekends.
Nice.
He would literally put bands on up till like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning.
Wow. Well, was there any competition between bands back then?
Yeah, there always was. And we were kind of newbies to the music scene. This was our first band. So we didn't know. A lot of these guys were kind of cutthroat. Skulls were our friends. We shared a rehearsal space with them for a while. Mm-hmm. But they would continuously try to upstage us on the bill. If it was supposed to be 3 bands, they're always trying to get us to open. Mm. They thought that elevated the status, I guess it was. But then there was some competition. In those days, that if you were in a band, it was like having your own gang.
Right.
And you don't go play for another band. You don't go play in somebody else's gang. So it was a little cliquey that way.
Right.
We knew everybody.
How often did you play with the Weirdos?
I never played with the Weirdos. The band played several times with them.
Okay.
That's probably what you meant.
Yeah.
Yeah, we played the Whiskey with them. We played the Mask with them, I think. We played, I guess, for the big bands. We probably played with X more than anybody.
X, okay.
It is down here.
Do you think X was one of your favorite bands to play with, or?
I wouldn't say they were my favorite band to play with. I like to watch them. So yeah, getting into the gig for free was always good.
Right.
But I don't really know them. Never got to know them personally all that well.
Right.
Like, scene was always pretty decent to me.
Okay. So who would you say was your favorite to play with, you think?
My favorite band in the day, that would probably be the Dills.
The Dills, right on. Cool.
They had a lot of energy.
Yeah. What changes did you think you saw in the LA punk scene, maybe from like 77 to like 79 when you guys kind of disbanded?
Well, things changed. In the early days, it was just mostly fun. People used to do the pogo, just bouncing up and down, slapping into each other. And then we started getting these kind of muscular meatheads from Orange County that just wanted to just slam. The mosh pit was born. And it got to where you wanted to stay away from the front of the stage because these guys would kill you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really what it changed. It became less of a fun, because punk rock in the early days was kind of rock and roll, pepped up and revved up, and some funny lyrics and some funny faces and some sunglasses and just fun. Right. It got to be really a lot more serious scene.
Mm-hmm.
And it became less fun for me as far as that goes.
Right. What inspired the debut 7-inch songs, like the original Neutron Bomb and Killer Queers?
Yes, well, Spike wrote Killer Queers and I wrote Neutron Bomb. And as far as the original Neutron Bomb, Chris Ashford, it was our record label. He just put that on there. I just called the song Neutron Bomb. But we recorded it before the Weirdos, but the Weirdos had released theirs in 4 hours.
Right.
So Chris was just trying to capitalize on that. That's all that was. Right. Songs have nothing to do with each other. I plagiarized half the lyrics anyways.
Yeah.
It's from a poem called The Death of the Ball Turret Gunner.
What happened with the fire department that showed up at the Deaf Club? You guys were supposed to play, and didn't a riot happen?
Yeah, kind of. I remember that night well. The Deaf Club was a trip because the people who ran it were really deaf, and they liked the punk rock because they could feel the bass, and they liked all the colorful costumes and outfits and stuff that people showed up in. And we were the headliner. It was one of our very only headlining gigs in San Francisco. And the place was packed. By the time it was time for us to go on, cops said no. Fire department said, yeah, everybody close out. And it started a window smashing spree along the street. I don't even remember what the club was, but I remember seeing Jello Biafra and Darby Crash lacing up their boots, getting out, kick some windows in.
Yeah.
20 minutes later, Jello's got a gash in the back of his heel. He actually severed his Achilles tendon kicking in the window.
Man. Wow. What about the song Another Day? What inspired that?
Well, that Spike wrote that song, and I think just basically addressing his laziness. I think I'll wait till another day.
Yeah. How about Top Secret?
Top Secret was the song I wrote for KAOS. It was my band after the Controllers. And that was just based on Maxwell Smart, KAOS, Get Smart.
Well, okay. What about Your World?
That's another Spike song, and I think that was a song he was writing about his older sister.
Okay. What made you start KAOS?
Well, I played bass in the Controllers. I started out as a lead guitar player, and when our band changed around, I ended up playing bass, which I love. I love playing bass, especially punk rock bass. It's a lot of fun. But when the Controllers broke up, I was broke. I mean, I had no money, living in the Vine Lodge in Hollywood. I don't know if you know where that is.
No.
It's kind of a shithole weekly rooming board kind of place.
I've heard of it.
Yeah, it's legendary in the punk rock. Everybody stayed there at one time or another. But I finally got a decent job. Billy Bones from the Skulls got me a job telemarketing, where I was starting to make a little money. And I happened to meet Amy Wickman, who was the bass player in KAOS. And we started dating and going out, and she wanted to be a guitar player, wanted to be a bass player, wanted to be in a band of any kind. And at that point, I had the rep. So I said, okay, let's start a band. So she'd been playing some songs with her friend Lisa, and the three of us started KAOS.
Okay.
It was just something. It was about 1980, I would guess, is when we started it.
Okay. And what inspired the song Iron Dream?
Iron Dream was, I picked it up from a novel called Iron Dream. And I'm not a skinhead, I'm not a Nazi, but I just thought it was an intriguing idea that Nazis won World War II and took over the world. But it was also had a little to do with drug use, amphetamines, and which we were into at that time. It was one of my most inspired chord changes, I think. But lyrically, just something to hang your hat on.
Great song.
Thank you.
Is that was it this only 7-inch you guys released?
That was the only record that KAOS made. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. What about Hot Stumps? What inspired that?
Well, we had a band manager for a while named Al Hansen. Al is he's dead now, but he's a world famous artist. I mean, we didn't know at the time, but he was a history of art at Syracuse University. His daughter lived out here, so he was out staying with her. We met Al early on, and he knew a lot of big shots. He knew Andy Warhol, he knew Lou Reed, he knew all these people. Not that it helped us any, but Al was kind of our mentor, and he had one of those porno newspapers you buy off the newsstand for $0.25. Yeah, remember those? I don't think they make them anymore. But he had artistically taken some girl who was laying on a couch with her legs spread and made her legs into stumps. And showed it to Spike and goes, "That's a great idea, Hot Stumps."
Oh man! What about White Trash Christ?
That's another Spike song. That's from the Skull Control days.
Okay.
It's just his riff, I think.
Because I noticed the guitar riff sounds a lot like Teenage Lobotomy, the Ramones song.
It does a little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's to be expected. He actually learned how to play guitar with the first Ramones album.
Oh, okay. Nice. How do you like playing the Café de Grand?
That was always a ball.
Yeah.
I think I was there twice. The time you're probably thinking about is the one that was on the record.
Yeah.
The live set.
Right.
That was sketchy because the Controllers hadn't played for quite a while. Had been a couple of years, and we hadn't really gotten together. I stopped at Spike's apartment before the gig. He just weaseled his way into it. It was really the Skulls gig, and we just talked our way in. And they wanted us to go on first, like they always did, but we got Charlie recently. Rest in peace, Charlie. We got him to play drums. He was going to play drums for the Skulls too, but we wore him out. By the time the Skulls came on, it was kind of lame.
Oh, Charlie
Terra,
right?
Charlie Quintana.
Yeah, Quintana. Yeah. That's sad, man. Just passed away.
It is. Yeah, I read it was a heart attack.
Rest in peace, Charlie.
Yeah.
What's the worst show you think you played?
Oh gosh, boy. There might be more than I could name. With KAOS, I know we played at some bar that nobody showed up to, and the guy who ran the bar told us to get out after 2 songs. That was not a good gig. For the Controllers, I think probably the worst gig we had. We had a manager, this guy named Eno Suavo. It was his real name. He got us a gig at an art school in Santa Monica. No stage, no nothing, free champagne. That was it. We just got drunk as bastards. Things kind of fell apart.
Yeah. What about the craziest show?
Craziest show. Well, it's hard to say too. A lot of them were crazy.
Yeah.
We played a Skull Control gig, an outdoor show in like 96. Where I got drunk. I was so drunk I couldn't even see straight. That was a bad show, but it was also fun. It was also crazy because I was jumping around on stage and acting like a maniac.
Nice.
Way past my age.
And were you guys friends with the Pagans? How did that split happen with them?
I never knew the Pagans.
Okay.
The Controllers played New Year's Eve gig at Cafe Nila, I think 4 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And the guitar player from the Pagans was there.
Oh, okay.
And he happened to see us and goes, I can't believe you guys are still together. We said, well, we're not. And he wanted us to do a gig with the Pagans, and a nice one, too. Would have been a well-supported gig at the FO.
Yeah.
Then I guess the singer got in a car accident.
Well, okay. Yeah, Mike Hudson.
Right. Who's now dead, I think, isn't he?
Yeah, he passed away also. Rest in peace, Mike. Well, what year was that show with Fear, The Plugs, X, and Black Flag at the Hong Kong Cafe?
That would have probably been our last gig as the controllers, as the three-piece, me, Spike, and Mad Dog controllers. That would have been 79.
79. And how was that show?
I barely remember it.
To
be honest with you, I barely remember.
Yeah.
There was some tension in the band, so I think I just didn't hang around that night. I think I did the set and left.
Okay. And that's what split the band, huh?
Well, Spike, at that point in the controllers, I had lost all my gear, had no money, didn't have a job, I didn't have a bass, didn't have a bass amp. I was constantly borrowing stuff, and people liked me. I was fortunate, so I could borrow a bass here, a bass amp there. But he finally got fed up with it, and I don't blame him. And then he'd had an offer to be the man in the Gears, which had just kind of morphed from the LA Shakers into the Gears. And he and Axel got along, and they needed a bass player, so he got his buddy Red to be a bass player. Again, I don't blame them. They were a little more business-like than we were, and they had a really good following at first, too.
Okay, and how often do the controllers play nowadays? Did you guys ever do like a reunion?
Well, last time was about 4 years ago, I think, that New Year's Eve gig.
Okay.
I had an offer 2 weeks ago from Billy Bones. He's running a place, Maui Sugar Mill or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I called Spike and said, hey, you want to do this? He says, nope. I said, well, okay, good. I don't either.
Okay.
These days, I have a little recording rig in my back room. I don't play much punk rock anymore.
Right. Are you doing a solo thing now?
Yeah, pretty much.
Right.
Pretty much.
Are you writing a record for that, or?
Well, yeah, I'm writing and playing everything.
Great.
I've got guitars, bass, keyboards. I've got everything back here in the back room.
Okay.
And I can play everything, so why not?
Right. Right.
It's cheap enough to record in your bedroom now.
Yeah, that's true. Great, man. Well, do you have any last words?
That's a good question. I really don't.
Well, Johnny Stingray, I want to thank you for the interview. You're a legend, and I appreciate your time.
Anytime.
All right. Thanks a lot, John.
Thanks, Pete.
Have a great
one.
one. Thank you. Bye.
Night.